Why is using consciousness to practice falling into evil dharma? It is fortunate for practitioners born in the same era as Arahant Thich Thong Lak. It is thanks to the elders' clear and concise teachings, true to the original teachings of the Buddha, that Bhikkhu Thich Thon Tien was able to realize many things, and present them to help practitioners not stray into wrong practices. Master Thon Tien discovered that 1. Eating animal life is like poisoning yourself, making you more savage and vicious than animals. 2. From the Nikaya Sutras, it is discovered that each practitioner only practices one Dharma and only one Dharma, until that Dharma enters the mind and is the attainment of fruition. 3. To practice the Dharma correctly, the practitioner must overcome the influence of love, lust, thoughts, and breaking the precepts. If the practitioner is still entangled, he cannot attain enlightenment. 4. Any route that follows the world is lost in evil. Eyes are fascinated by beautiful scenery, ears follow meaningful sounds, and compose poems full of dreams, clearly cultivating immortality. 5. Practicing the right Buddhist Dharma does not require knowledge of Buddhism. 6. Satisfying desires, whether mental or physical, is evil. 7. Right intention is the fundamental practice that leads us to attain enlightenment. 8. Practicing the 6 basic methods helps practitioners have strong faith when entering the holy stream of practice. Why is using consciousness to practice falling into evil dharma? In the lesson on the 5 aggregates, Master Thon Tien explains, if we are a king, consciousness is a loyal subject and perception is a flatterer. The mind is a child that the king loves very much. Wherever the mind turns, the king will follow. But the mind always turns to perception, and the king also likes it very much, because perception with 33 levels of perception creates many wonderful tricks that make the king so addicted. Therefore, if we want to bring our mind to good dharma, we must use rational intention, gradually bringing the mind closer to consciousness, then gradually bringing the mind into the magnetic field of goodness, then we can practice and attain enlightenment. If we want to use rational intention perfectly, we must coordinate with consciousness, because the thinking consciousness is too strong. Very clear, to practice the right Dharma, one must always, regularly and permanently use the Dharma to think rationally. But the practitioner does not use rational thinking but only uses consciousness to practice, to win the mind back to consciousness before the pull of thought consciousness. So clearly this is a battle between consciousness and thought consciousness. No matter which side wins, it is to satisfy greed, pride, and demands. Even though the mind returns to consciousness, the mind has not yet abandoned evil and has not yet accepted good. Isn't that obvious? If you want your mind to be free of evil and to increase good, you must use the Dharma to practice right intention, to abandon desires, to abandon evil, and to increase good. Do not cause suffering to yourself, to others, and to living beings. At the same time, the Buddha taught, do not do evil, practice good. And at the same time, the sermon of Arahant Thich Thong Lak, abandon desire, abandon evil. Increase good. Do not cause suffering to yourself, do not cause suffering to others, and do not cause suffering to living beings. Must use the right intention to avoid mental inhibition. And calmly, gently, comfortably bring the mind into the field of goodness, that is, immobile mind concentration. The explanation is clear. Example 1, the practitioner knows that it is necessary to prevent overeating and gluttony. Using consciousness to control eating less, is that coercion? The coercion was successful, but the mind was not convinced. The mind resisted. That means the mind was imprisoned. When something happened, we got sick, we were discouraged, then the mind immediately went into battle, went back to eating a lot and eating well, right? But if we use our mind wisely and practice eating 1 meal a day, when we are sick or discouraged, our mind will still eat 1 meal a day normally. Example 2, the practitioner knows that it is necessary to prevent greed and fame by avoiding. Avoiding means using consciousness to practice. This is forcing the mind. Even though there is success, the mind is not convinced. The mind resists. This means the mind is imprisoned. When there is an opportunity, such as when there is a foreign army, we immediately jump in to save the country with many insidious tricks to win. Right? But if we use reason to think, to abandon desire and evil, then even if there is an opportunity for foreign invasion, we will not care. It is very clear that my body is still impermanent, so what meaning does the great affairs of the country have to me? Worldly affairs, let the worldly people solve them. Example 3, practitioners know that they must not be greedy for sex, so they consciously avoid it. That is, forcing it can be successful. But when they encounter someone with good karma, when they meet them, they immediately abandon their practice and follow the call of lust. But if we practice with the right intention, even if we meet a beautiful person, we will still be as calm as rock and as steady as copper. In short, using consciousness to practice is to force the mind. By forcing the mind in any form, the mind still retains greed, whether it is physical or mental. When the problem arises, we return to worldly life. Even if our consciousness overcomes thought, we cannot bring our mind into a state of stillness and concentration to enter the fourth dhyana. At most, we can enter the dhyana of thought. This is the reason why the Venerable Thich Thong Lak taught that, when practicing, practitioners often think that they have completely eliminated the desire of greed, anger, ignorance, pride, and doubt. They are very subtle. Be careful of the hidden desire somewhere. There are many practitioners who use the 4 foundations of mindfulness, carefully observing the body, feelings, mind, and mental objects, but do not see them. Now, Master Tan Tien discovered that it lies in the greed for knowledge. Very delicious and subtle, isn't it? Greed for knowledge is to satisfy consciousness. And satisfying consciousness means satisfying demands, giving us joy and pride. But in reality, we are not liberated, are we? Following the Venerable Elder Thich Thong Lak, Master Tan Tien advises Buddhists not to pay attention to theory, especially not to understand the meaning of words through school theory, or you will go off track. At the same time, Buddhists must understand clearly, I is the decision maker. Consciousness advises us to follow the good Dharma, but consciousness is too weak. Much weaker than imagination, consciousness has been holding us back from evil. For a long time, greed, mind, is the child that we love, has followed thoughts and evil methods since birth. The 4 noble truths let us know that we are immersed in greed, forgetting our duty to borrow the body to practice, to return to the origin of our life. At the same time, the 4 noble truths also teach us the Dharma to practice. At that time, we awaken and know that we need to practice to escape the siege of greed. Then we must use rational thinking, reminding the mind to abandon evil and return to good. When the mind returns to consciousness and increases wholesome qualities, we enter meditation and escape from the borrowed, stinking body to return to our lives. Is it obvious? I am the master, I decide. I decide to follow good or bad Dharma. When we decide to follow good Dharma, we must first bring our mind back to consciousness. When the mind returns to consciousness and fully develops good Dharma, then we can practice and attain enlightenment, and we must use rational intention to practice. If we use consciousness to compete with thought, to pull the mind back, what then? Then the mind is suppressed and runs after it. Meanwhile, the mind is still filled with evil. Obviously I have suppressed my mind. What about mental suppression? Answer yourself. There is a pitiful misunderstanding. In the Dhammapada, mind is the master, mind is the creator, mind leads all dharmas. All practitioners around the world misunderstand that mind is consciousness. Therefore, they use consciousness to practice the wrong Dharma without knowing it. Master Tan Tien explained, the meaning here is me. Why so? Why do you mean me? Who is the master? Who is the creator? Who leads the dharmas? It is me. If I choose evil, then I follow my thoughts to enjoy worldly pleasures, and the world will call me a big man, or we choose good, then we follow consciousness to become a holy person. However, never forget, we must use rational intention to bring the mind back to consciousness. Absolutely do not let consciousness hold the mind. The mind hates consciousness. Remember, Master Tan Tien teaches that we should not use consciousness to practice, but must use rational intention to remind the mind. But Mr. Tan Tien does not teach to destroy consciousness. If we destroy consciousness, will we become a vegetable? For a true practitioner, the sermon, using consciousness to practice is a wrong method, is more than enough. But Master Tan Tien gave the Dharma talk, why is using consciousness to practice a lost into evil Dharma? To help the common people understand clearly, to create concepts, to create good conditions when anyone decides to enter the holy lineage to practice, they will surely succeed. To understand more, you should read the Dharma talk What is Enough, at the back. It is very clear that right intention is the absolutely fundamental practice to attain enlightenment, but in the past, no scholars or monks knew. Sincere gratitude to Arahant Thich Thong Lak for enlightening us with the wonderful practice of right intention. Important note. Use it wisely like practicing singing. When your mind is familiar with it, then practice and you will achieve perfect results beyond your expectations. For example, I am addicted to cards. I keep playing as usual. But, I always, regularly and persistently think, stop playing anymore, loss is certain. After about a week, a month, or at most 3 months, I decide to stop playing. Great. A few days later, I no longer wanted to play cards, even when someone was playing cards in front of me.